We understand that from the outcome of this war will depend also freedom of ours here in Estonia, but also freedom of Europe.
I would underline that our military support arrived to Ukraine even before the full-scale invasion.
Всі розуміють, що таке Росія, тому що ще живуть багато людей, які пам'ятають анексію Естонії і Балтійських країн.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center, an NGO Euro-Atlantic course, and I'm your host, Miroslava Yaremkiv. Estonia is a small European country with an area of 45,000 square meters. These are approximately 2 Ukrainian regions, and the population of the entire country is more than half as small as in Kyiv. But these indicators did not stand in the way of constant support for Ukraine. And so far it has reached a scale not seen in any other country, 1.1 of the state's GDP. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how Estonia supports Ukraine and how Estonians and their attitude towards Russians has changed over the last year. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. Estonian diplomacy unconditionally condemns Russian aggression against Ukraine and does everything possible to provide assistance to Ukraine both at the bilateral level and in international organizations. Estonia provided military aid to Ukraine with its own equipment, including all the howitzers that they had. Estonia also organized support with other states in supplying shells to Ukraine. Chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Estonian Parliament, Marko Mihkelson, will share an official statement of Estonian unwavering support for Ukraine.
My name is Marko Mihkelson. I'm a chairman of Foreign Affairs Committee of Estonian Parliament. We are right now here in the White Hall of Estonian Parliament. And as you see behind of me, there are among Estonian national flag and European Union flag, also Ukrainian national flag. We'll keep Ukrainian flag here until the full victory of Ukraine in its war of independence. Estonians have very strong solidarity toward Ukraine. We have supported Ukraine from the very beginning of brutal aggression of Russia against Ukraine. Already in December in 2022, our government sent first batch of anti-tank missile systems, Javelins, which helped Ukrainians to hold Russian hordes back around Kyiv. Since then, Estonia has spent more than 1% of GDP to support Ukraine militarily, financially, and also to give humanitarian help. Estonia is building already kindergartens in Žõtomõri Oblast and trying to also call other allies and partners to help Ukraine. We understand that this war against Ukrainian statehood, against Ukraine's nation, is much more and has a much greater magnitude than just a regional conflict. We understand that from the outcome of this war will depend also freedom of ours here in Estonia, but also freedom of Europe. This is why we do everything what it takes to help Ukraine diplomatically, politically, and militarily, to help Ukraine to defeat Russia in Ukraine, and also to bring Ukraine to EU and to NATO. It is impossible to restore lasting peace in Europe, perhaps even in the world, while Ukraine is not free and is not member of NATO. Slava Ukraini!
Ignoring how much is left for its own defense and giving it to Ukraine is a move by the Estonian government that significantly narrows the arguments of certain states, which they use to explain the delay in military aid. Victory over Russia is also an existential issue for Estonia. Taming an aggressive neighbor is an important goal for the Baltic states. Head of the EU Affairs Committee, Liisa Pakosta, will elaborate on all the help Estonia is providing Ukraine with.
Hello, I'm Liisa Pakosta. I'm head of the EU Affairs Committee at Estonian Parliament. And just a few words what Estonia has done for Ukraine. And I will not, of course, list everything. Estonia is one of the biggest supporters of Ukraine, and we have supported Ukraine politically, economically, and militarily. I would underline that our military support arrived to Ukraine even before the full-scale invasion by Russia from the 24th February last year. So now we have provided help more than 400 million euros. That might be a small sum, but what is actually more than 1% of Estonians' GDP. And that is only the military assistance, more than 1% of Estonia's GDP. But we have also donated over 23 million euros to Ukraine if we take into account also the support from private sector and non-governmental organizations. That includes the humanitarian aid, everything from warm blankets and saunas up to cars that are needed at the front. Estonia has warmly accepted more than 40,000 refugees from Ukraine, and they have asked for protection. We have established even a special school for Ukrainian students that's called a Freedom School, and that started already last summer. There is more than 500 pupils in that school. Estonia is also one of the countries that has already started the reconstruction projects in Ukraine. Our friend area in Ukraine is Zhytomyr Oblast, and we have been implementing 25 projects in this oblast, Zhytomyr Oblast, and that is both construction works, but also digital transition, education, good governance, and entrepreneurship projects. And the projects are worth more than 3 million euros in total. Since Russia has launched its full-scale war against Ukraine, Estonia has politically been involved in all the help Ukraine needs. That's Ukraine being part of the European Union, yes, we support. Ukraine being part of NATO, yes, you have our full support. So the Ukraine's path to European Union and NATO is fully supported by Estonian parliament, government, and people.
Estonia was doing a lot to maintain its defense long before the start of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine. There are not many NATO countries that would spend a bigger share of GDP on defense than Estonia. Although after February 24th, the issue of defense capability became very practical. People who deal with defense policy and the army once again became convinced of the reality of security threats to Estonia from Russian side. There is now more military training for reservists. It has become way more visible. President of Estonian Parliament Lauri Hussar believes that there can be no peace in Europe without Ukraine's win in this war. Please take a listen.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lauri Hussar and I'm the President of the Estonian Parliament. And I beg your pardon, without any support to Ukraine, there is no peace in Europe, because Ukraine is fighting for our freedom. Ukraine is fighting for our freedom against the aggression of Russia. And therefore, our goal is to support Ukraine in this fight against the aggressor. And may I say that Estonia as a country is one of the biggest supporters of Ukraine and Ukraine's freedom. And I truly wish that this is the sincere will of every European, every real European who wants a peace and prosperity in our continent. And without the win of the Ukraine, there will be no prosperity and the real development of Europe. And therefore, as a President of the Estonian Parliament, I'm standing for Ukrainian freedom, Ukrainian win in this war, that Russia will gonna have to leave the occupied territories and Ukraine will gonna celebrate the integrity of the country and the membership in European Union and NATO. And therefore, this is for what we stand.
Since the end of February 2022, Estonia has accepted more than 68,000 Ukrainian refugees. In May this year, 73% of Estonian residents believe that the state should accept Ukrainian war refugees if necessary. We asked head of the Congress of Ukrainians of Estonia, Vira, about the situation with Ukrainian refugees now in the country. And is Estonian society getting tired of the war and constant support of Ukraine?
На загальну думку, спілкуючись із людьми, які переїхали, з переселенцями, з біженцями, власне кажучи, той офіційний статус, то і біженці, всі висловлюють найщирішу подяку Естонії, говорять, що дуже дружелюбно ставляться до українців, намагаються допомогти чим можуть. І це все ми також всі спостерігали, тому що минула весна, коли був такий потік величезних біженців, то включилися і громади, і естонці дуже багато допомагали. І от на даний момент вже десь 40% людей вже працевлаштувалися, хоча це не так просто, звичайно, тому що мова і так далі, але багато людей знайшло навіть і за своїм фахом роботу, хоча, я ще повторюю, це не так просто. В основному, звичайно, працюють на таких не дуже кваліфікованих роботах, тому що є певні вимоги, і таку кількість людей працевлаштувати не так просто. Зараз багато говорять про так звану втому від війни. Естонське суспільство, саме естонське, тому що тут дуже є чіткий розподіл між естонським суспільством і не естонським, скажімо так, основну частину якого становлять росіяни, звичайно, 25%. То саме естонці, вони налаштовані на будь-який розвиток подій, підтримка України не зникає, і всі розуміють, що таке Росія, тому що ще живуть багато людей, які пам'ятають анексію Естонії і Балтійських країн, і абсолютно, і це все передається, репресії і так далі, і всі ці розповіді передаються з покоління в покоління, так що всі прекрасно розуміють, що таке Росія, і знають, що абсолютно точно впевнені, що якщо, не дай Боже, Україна впаде, то наступні будуть країни Балтії і там далі по списку, в європейському списку. Потім є така в Естонії естонська консервативна, народна консервативна партія, яка стоїть на крайніх правих позиціях, яка абсолютно проти всіх мігрантів. І вона зараз набирає досить великої популярності. Вже зараз вона і увійшла до парламенту досить потужно. Вони говорять, представники цієї партії говорять про те, що Естонія не може вже стільки приймати мігрантів, що на душу населення Естонія взагалі є перша в світі за кількістю прийнятих біженців з України, 5,6% від всього населення. У порівнянні, коли ми говоримо там про Німеччину і Польщу, які багато прийняли, так, у відсотковому відношенні це є близько 2% населення. І говорять, що Естонія не може стільки людей вже приймати, не може адаптувати стільки людей і соціальний захист дати і так далі. Вже була домовленість Естонії із Фінляндією про те, щоб новоприбулих приймала Фінляндія, яка набагато менше прийняла українських біженців. Так, як Естонія підтримує ще, це, я думаю, що це відчутно, це військова, це гуманітарна, це політична, міжнародна підтримка, абсолютно всебічна підтримка України. І от зараз, напевно, можливо, в Україні це Також висвітлювали в Естонії, в Житомирській області, в місті Овруч, вже побудувала дитячий садочок. Тобто вона взяла регіон Житомирщини для, як патронати над тим, для відбудови економіки.
You've been watching the special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!